Welcome to the Rock is George podcast. I'm your host, George Dionne. Thanks for tuning in at anchor.fm/rockisgeorge or through your favorite podcasting platform or at YouTube. This is episode 32, and my special guest today is Walt Novak, the frontman and co-creator of the band SickWalt. SickWalt first came to my attention last year with the release of their album Shovin' Love, a fantastic album that isn't defined by any genre. It's got a little mix of everything in there. I previously interviewed SickWalt for metalexpressradio.com if you want to get a little more information on his background. Currently, SickWalt have a single out called Oweha. Walt's going to talk about that in a moment. The single is leading to a full-length EP release called Maxed, which should be out on March 27th. And here's Walt Novak of SickWalt to tell you all about it.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me on. This is fantastic. Problem. Thanks a lot.
Well, I love SickWalt and I love Shovin' Love, and I'm a fan. So I interviewed you for another publication, and this is my podcast, so I'm glad to have you on.
Cool, man. We're looking to come up and play in Boston soon.
Yeah, that'd be great. We got plenty of venues.
Yeah, I'll email you for a list.
Yeah.
So many went down, I'm going to be reaching. You got to reach out to people to figure out who's still around. And, it was a shame. It's just a shame. Live music has taken such a hit.
Yeah, I know. And they don't think about that when they do these things. You know what I mean?
Of course. It's just been an amazing journey for two years to see what it's done to society and the effects and after effects, mental state, and, pushing through. And live music, there's nothing like live music. I've been to a couple of live shows again, and just high energy and packed in, and just there's nothing like connecting everybody with the kinetic energy and feeling, and everybody's together. There's nothing like being in the auditorium and feeling it. I'm not a big show fan. I like, 2,000 and less. I love the 700, 500 people. And just there's nothing like live music experience. So I can't wait to get back on the road here and start doing this.
Absolutely. If I was a new fan and I knew absolutely nothing about SickWalt, how would you describe your music to me?
It's narrowed down to Bon Scott, AC/DC versus the Stooges, Iggy Pop and the Stooges, with flares of Jane's Addiction, Sabbath, and the Stones. It's a bunch of high energy, up tempo, positive, high energy, collect yourself, get yourself together, and, shoot out into the world, stand tall, represent yourself, and just feel good rock and roll.
Absolutely. And I certainly hear like tinges of Johnny Cash style country in there too.
Yes, the rockabilly. I'm a huge Johnny Cash fan. I love the man. And, he just open to anything and just had such a great attitude. And, he fell into that punk attitude once punk came around after him. After his prime of country, but he just fits in the punk slot so much because he's a man who did what he wanted. He took his licks, he hit bottom, and he came back strong. He's always been one person that was a believer and a leader and prophetic with his words, and taught a person, about the bad and the good. There's a great story of Bono in one of the Johnny Cash books. I've read so many. And Bono said he went to visit Johnny Cash for dinner in Tennessee, and they're all sitting around holding hands. And Johnny said this great baritone prayer of how much life, and it was so beautiful. And he's like, it was so touching. And then at the last line, he said, "I sure miss the drugs, though." And, and it was just so black and white. You got to know both sides. And that's what Shovin' Love is about. So you know both sides. It's like there's the dark and then there's the light. There's shoving, and then there's loving, and it's the roller coaster of life. It's the good and the bad. It's the good and the evil, the devil and the angel. That's what that line we ride our whole life, fighting that side. What's good and what's bad, and it just is. It's what do you choose? Nothing's wrong or right.
There's not a lot of storytellers out there. I mean, certainly I would say modern rock today, I'm not sure there's a message there.
Everything is so compressed and high produced. you know?
It all sounds the same.
Exactly, man. I was just telling my publicist today, we have a single coming out, or it just came out, Owe Ha, and it's on a bunch of playlists. And I'm just trying to listen to all the music, and nothing is like really catching me, turning my switch on. It's just so clean and safe. And yeah, it's tough. It's tough. They're there if you find them, some of the gems. But you got to dig. You got to really dig in this huge sea of music. We've been doing a great job. I've been blessed, and it was tough, staring yourself in the mirror during COVID of, is this ever going to happen again? You lose all momentum. One of my main guitarists, the father passed away, and he left the band, and you're like, oh, it's tough keeping everything together and keeping people focused in today's world. And we got a bunch of brand new players. My bassist moved over to guitarist, and he's playing, and he used to play for the Cro-Mags and toured with them and wrote one of their albums. But he's so much, that's hardcore. He plays so much great rock and roll and has such a great musical background. I have another guitarist. We're playing Tuesday night at Berlin in the East Village. It's under the bar 2A. A good friend of mine, my friend Derek Hawkins, who owns the studio, Barking Dog Studios, upstate New York, where we recorded Shove and Love. Hawkins is a journeyman guitarist who played with Ace Frehley for 5 years, played with Space Hog, played with Widespread Panic, toured with them, all over, and many other bands. He's just a phenomenal guitarist. He's now in SickWalt, practicing with SickWalt, and he's going to be jumping in. And the last rehearsal was just insane. I can't wait for Friday, next rehearsal, and then we play Tuesday. Sunday, March 27th, we're playing with Richie Ramone.
Nice.
Of the Ramones, man. They asked us to play. It's beautiful. Good old Richie Ramone, another great guy, one of the originals. Wrote Somebody Put Something in My Drink off of Ramone's Halfway to Sanity. Animal Boy, he came on during the Too Tough to Die tour, and then picked up with Animal Boy, Halfway to Sanity, I think Subterranean Jungle. Anyway, Richie Ramone was a huge contributor to the Ramones, and we're getting to play with him March 27th at Bowery Electric in New York City.
We're going to get back to the Bowery shortly. Let's talk about the new single, Owe Ha.
How do you like it?
Behind that? I like it. I'm digging it. Yeah.
It's powerful, man.
It's your anthem. It's an anthem.
It's big and it's anthemic. Thank you. And Owe Ha to you, man. When I lived in LA on Venice Beach and I was acting out there for years, I walked that beach a lot and spent a lot of alone time. I've always studied a lot of spiritualities. I always take the best qualities from each one and just love to incorporate that into everything. There's no wrong way, like people say about hell and such. But so that's where I came up with the phrase Owe Ha. I came up with this, it's like Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, which is the Buddhist phrase, and it has a whole nother meaning of its beliefs, and it's beautiful. And that's what in Buddhism, that's what you chant, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. And I just came up with Owe Ha Mane Maneo. We just played it to the song, and welcome everybody. It's highly inspired. I'm making a playlist right now on Spotify. It's called Chant and Stomp. It's highly inspired from Jane's Addiction. Are you a Jane's Addiction fan?
Yeah, they're all right.
Listen to the first and second song of Nothing Shocking. It's Up the Beach into Ocean Size. And Ocean Size is one of the greatest songs in my life and inspiring. And I wish I was Ocean Size. I've seen the ocean break on the shore and they come together with no harm done. It ain't easy living. And that song is it's really spiritual about the ocean, that you can't move that ocean. It never stops. And like I said, I was living in Venice Beach and I just sat in front of that ocean for hours upon hours. And that song, if you listen to it, that gave me the inspiration for Owe Ha to make it this anthem to this spiritual welcoming of here we are. We're gathered all together. We're going to light that fire. Owe Ha to you. Owe Ha to you, my friend. Let's rip this fucking shit apart. And that's what I loved about Perry Farrell, is that he could bring such a spirituality to the show, but at the same time then want to rip up shit in a hardcore way and be like, he would just be like, fuck this place up. and just bring that to, but in the same time, he would raise the spirits and want to hug everybody and kiss everybody. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful. You ride that wave, man. So Oweha. And yeah, that's the first of our singles of this EP called Maxed.
So let's talk about the EP. It's coming out March 27th. Is this sort of a reworking of earlier stuff that you worked on?
Yeah, we did this. I did this with Max Capshaw. He and I started SickWalt in 2014. 2013, we played a benefit at Bowery Ballroom, one of the best venues in New York City. The sound and everything, everybody gets to play there. Small to mid-size venue, and we got to play it. That was my first show. I played for Max's band, and the place went nuts. And then afterwards, Max used to play for Sick of It All. He toured many worldly tours with Sick of It All, toured with Murphy's Law numerous times. He played in H2O. He played in Burn. He was playing in Leeway. All hardcore roots as kids, but his musicality was unbelievable. He evolved, but backstage after that show, he was dumbfounded and said, I'd always been a high energy person. I sang in the shower. I sang Sabbath. I sang Jane's, and I was singing Kiss and Van Halen. And then that's when they asked me to sing, and I sang Place Went Nuts. He said, we got to make music. He handed me songs. We started writing songs, made a couple of EPs, and then SickWalt started rolling. That material sat there. And now during COVID, it's kind of a reset. We're sitting on our ass. Live music is done. It was a year. A whole year. Almost a year. We sat there with not knowing what's going to happen to our society. And then you're like, what am I going to do with live music? I was listening to Max's music on my headphones. Like, I would walk every morning and I put our old music on just to remember who I was. You start losing yourself. Remember the isolation, people go crazy, and you're like, you don't feel it. You're not expressing yourself. You're not using your talents. There's no mirror there to show you what you're looking at or who you are. So I'm listening to the old stuff, and I was just listening to what I've done. Like, yeah, man, you've written some good songs. You got something good going. Let's keep it going. And I was like, you know what? Let me call Andy Baldwin, who produced Shove and Love. I said, Andy, let's redo this stuff, make it great, and give it to Max's due. He played every instrument on the 5 songs that I chose on Maxed, and the music is we redid it in his honor, and it was fantastic. I'm very excited about it. I was like, in this digital realm, let's just do it and put it out there. But after working with Andy, and again, this whole trip has been divine. The next single to come out is Heart of a Buffalo, and that's more of an Americana. You said Johnny Cash with Song for Johnny. Heart of a Buffalo is more of a city kid walking the streets. I got a Heart of a Buffalo, and it's more of a country Americana song, not a ballad. It's not melodramatic. To play this for this one song, I brought in a bunch of new players to redo the song that Max and I wrote. It's all Max instrumentation on all the other songs. This is the song that he wrote. So I met this whole bunch of new players, and that has reinvigorated so much creativity that I'm creating with these guys. They have a studio in Brooklyn called Wildwood Recording Studios, which has been quite exciting. Heart of a Buffalo coming out. We're going to drop that March 4th. So we have Oweha. Then we go to Heart of a Buffalo, which is a complete 180. And then we do this Truth Trader and My Street and Your Lies that are just, straight up more rock and roll, more dynamic rock and roll. And we got a 5-song EP. We'll put it out. Comes out on March 27th digitally. No pressing any vinyl for this. And I feel great about it. It's keeping us rolling. And I have I'm working on new material right now that we're working on recording. So after this EP, 6 weeks after that, I got more new songs coming out that I'm excited about.
I like a guy that interviews himself, so that's always good.
I used to have a radio show. It was called
there you go.
Get Well Soon with SickWalt. I miss it. I loved it. I loved it. How long have you had your podcast?
I started it last year.
Yeah, you like it?
Yeah, it's doing pretty good. The other side I work for is mainly heavy metal. So I got a little tired of the whole heavy metal thing. And I'm like, I kind of want to do the guys that aren't so metal. So, you're not so metal. I did the guitarist that used to be in Survivor, Jim Peterick. He's not so metal. I talked to an actress. I talked to Tabitha Stevens and her husband.
Yes. MTV?
No, the porn star Tabitha
The
Stevens.
porn star. Wasn't there a Tabitha? Was it Tabitha Soren?
Tabitha Soren, that's right. From MTV.
But Tabitha Stevens. Oh yeah, man, I love my smut.
She got a horror movie out. She's doing another one. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, how was that interview?
It was really good. It was her and her husband.
Where can I find that?
You can check it out at anchor.fm/rockisgeorge.
Okay, right. Okay.
Or rockisgeorge.com, or you just search your name. But I mean, you're going to get a lot more than just an interview if you search her name.
Right. Where does she live now?
I think she's out in California still, or Las Vegas maybe. So what happened with Max Capshaw and the band?
Life evolves. We're older. We're not 20 years old with 4 guys hanging out all the time. He's got a wife and child. His job changed. Just so many stresses that he had to move. He had to take the family elsewhere, which became too stressful, and he had to walk away. We cross bridges in our life, and we come to the crossroads, and he decided to take a break. He's now playing, like I said, he's so talented, man. He's beautiful. He's got an EP coming out, Max Capshaw. I forget what he's calling it, and he's playing a lot of jazz now too. It's not a jazz EP. It's going to be a rock EP. Chris Pizzolo played bass on this record on Shovin' Love. Chris runs Immediate Family Media. He went and he toured with Lizzie Rocket, I think. Did a couple of a national tour with her. He played bass with her, and he's back with Immediate Family. He stepped away. Matt Middleton, who played guitar, wrote so much of that album. His father passed away, unfortunately, during COVID. He needed to take a break and just step away. I think he's playing with the band In Circles right now. They were a duo, and now they're a trio. If you look up In Circles, they're a great band. We've played with them before, and it was always a 1-2 punch because Oscar's a great drummer, and the lead singer, this girl, I forget her name at the moment, guitarist, like a Kurt Cobain female. But Matt jumped in. Now he's switching, playing bass for them. And then, so after those guys, we had Eric Arce from the Misfits play last year. He did a year with us right before COVID. Rob Buckley was playing bass. Like I said, Rob played with a couple other bands, but he played with Cro-Mags and toured the world a couple of times with the Cro-Mags, wrote one of their records. He was playing bass with us. He's so talented. So Eric moved on to Vegas right before COVID. COVID was hitting. He moved his family out to Vegas with his in-laws. Man, life, all this stuff happens. It's tougher at this age. You don't have, like I said, we're not 20 years old with no commitments. And yeah, man, let's do the band. It's hard, George. I'm so tired of it. It was so tough juggling everything and getting people's interest. So Buckley moved from bassist. He went back to guitar, and he's an unbelievable guitarist. So he's playing guitar. I have a female Japanese drummer, Hitomi Nakamura. She's my drummer now. She's unbelievable. She's doing a great job. I can't wait to bring her out. Colorful, such an unbelievable style. We put her up front. She's playing drums. I don't put her up front on stage. I mean, in pictures. Yeah. So she's on drums. Rob moved to guitar, and I picked up the bassist from the crew when I recorded Heart of a Buffalo for the EP. That crew who played on it, they back up Fiona Silver, but they're all hired guns. And now I'm doing a little more hired guns. And that bassist loves playing with us. So now he's playing bass. And now Rob can't. Now I'm using that guitarist, Guy Fumarelli. And I also have Derek Hawkins coming in to play guitar. It's beautiful, man. From sitting in COVID a year ago, wondering what's going to happen, not only to our world, to our society, but creatively, you're just like, all right, let's pack it in. I guess it's over. But I didn't give up. I mean, then COVID ended and I started getting rolling again. And now we're rolling again pretty strong. And I'm looking to book for the summer up and down the coast.
For the album's release, you're bringing it back to the start. You're going to the Bowery Electric for an album release party.
Yes.
Is that going to be the first show with all these new players?
We played in October, a kickoff party. But like I said, just getting everybody together for this big blast off just to get back to music. I couldn't line up so many gigs. And then some got canceled with this COVID resurgence again.
Now you got the new record label. You got 558 Records that you're putting this out on. Are you going to still be distributed through Golden Robot?
I don't think so. I'm not going to say no. I don't know. I'll talk to them again, but not for this one. And we'll talk again in the future about something else. But right now, no. I'm going to run with 558. 558 Records was created by Max and myself. It's from our apartment where we lived in the Bronx together. We lived for a couple of years. We went to Fordham University. So while we were living together, I would go to Fordham. He would go to Fordham, or he would drop out for a semester, go tour the world, come back to Fordham. But we lived in an apartment in the Bronx, and it was 558. And then when we started SickWalt 2014, I started 558 Records. It's been sitting on a shelf. And then I'm like, hey man, I got a record label ready to go, and let's get this going. I have a great team. I have a great publicist, and we have a great team of talent, of well-rounded people that are very connected and knowledgeable in music. So, getting 558 up and running, I'd love to start looking at little bands and production and getting on other things. I'd love to get access, start producing other bands. They want to jump on the label. Let's work it, start doing that.
So it's been about a year. Go ahead.
I was going to say, start crafting, an image of, your mindset of SickWalt and what kind of bands you want to, put in a corral and really start to get it out there.
It's only been a year since the release of your last album, Shove and Love, and everywhere it's getting a great response, great reviews. Everybody seems to love it. It was in my top 3 of the year last year. I mean, that must have made you happy, maybe surprised you here and there.
Surprised me, man. It made me so happy. Golden Robot did a great job with it and in the distribution. I was getting calls and from overseas and from, England, Sweden, Australia, Germany. Amazing. It was beautiful to see where it went and what people thought. And thanks a lot, George, for everything that you've done.
Now, I've asked you this before in another location, but I'm sure people want to know, how did you get the moniker SickWalt?
Okay. High school, I was this class clown, always thrown out of class, always talking and fucking around. But I was smart and I never really had to study, whatever. I was a loudmouth, having a good time, always laughing, joking around with everybody. And I was also an athlete. So then one day, senior year, me and a couple of guys were coming off the field in our football gear, covered in mud, just messing around like dogs, just jumping around, fighting and mucking it up. And we come into the locker room, we walk in, and I'm walking in, we got to walk past all the freshmen and the young kids. And then these little scrawny 13-year-olds. And we all practiced on one big field out there. The varsity was one corner, JV was in another corner, and the freshman team. So everybody knew. You always, as a kid, see the elder classmen, and you're like, wow, they're so big, and I can't wait to play there again with them. And it was a huge field, huge practice field. And so we're coming in mud, and me and my boys like, yeah. And all of a sudden, there's this little kid coming out of the shower, and he's standing there soaking wet with his towel. And my friend, we weren't bullies, but it's a football locker room. You grab people, you're like, ah. And my friend grabs this kid, and he's like, do you know who you're talking to right now? Do you know who the fuck this is? Just asking him. And the kid's like, oh, yeah. He goes, that's SickWalt. Everybody knows who he is. So then everybody's like, yo, man, you are SickWalt. So everybody started calling me SickWalt in high school. We went to college. I went to Fordham, and people that were there started calling me SickWalt. And they were like, yeah, man, that fits. And everybody just kept calling me SickWalt since I was 18 years old.
There's worse nicknames to get out of high school.
Yes, there were. I was blessed with that. And I'm blessed that it fits my demeanor and my persona. And everybody it's become a great state of mind.
All right, man. The single sounds great. I can't wait to hear the rest of the EP. Oh, we ha.
Oh,
I
way
guess
hot
we
to
should
you,
say, oh,
sir.
way ha.
Oh, way
I'll,
hot, man.
I'll get that. I appreciate you taking the time to come on the podcast today.
Thanks for having me, man.
Once again, I want to thank SickWalt for coming on the Rock is George podcast. Be sure to check out their new single, Oweha, on all streaming platforms now. On March 27th, you can get their newest EP, Maxed, and go out and buy Shove and Love. I guarantee you won't be disappointed with that album. I also want to thank Black Ruse Entertainment for making this interview possible. And of course, you, the listeners, thank you. You've been great. I've been George Dionne. I'll see you again soon.